Hello everyone, I'm going to be doing a new series. It's going to be focusing on painting skin. I'm going to be focusing this series on helping artists just like you paint like pros. It's so much simpler than you think, and it's just easy doing this step-by-step tutorial that I'm going to show you. It took me a long time to understand where I was going wrong with my art, but gradually I learned new techniques and I'm going to share them with you. You guys could hit the like and subscribe button. I will bring you more content and more tutorials as well, so you can keep up to date with everything. So this is my line art. It's just a basic sketch, and I want to be adding colour underneath this layer. So I'm going to go in and find just a mid-tone skin colour. Just giving it a bit of a test. So I'm going to create a new layer underneath. This is just so the line art is above your colour layer. And I will make the line art layer a multiply layer. So this just allows the lines to be a bit darker on top of the colour. I'm going to make sure this is flat with no pressure sensitivity on it. As you can see, it's really flat. This is just in case you want to mask your colour. Masking this will allow you to paint a little bit more openly without going around the edges. But generally how I work, I would just paint on top of this. So as you can see, I'm just going straight up to the lines, making sure it's all covered. This is just a great base now to work on top. Just want to go in with a slightly lighter colour. Just going to give it a test again. Sometimes it's worth putting your palette above your work. This is just so you can see the colours that you're using and whether the range is good enough. I want to drop down my flow a little bit. This is the most key point of blending your work. I turned around my work by just adjusting the flow. I used to have really sharp colouring, but since using the flow, it's just improved my work so much. And you can improve your work as well with this. I'm just imagining the sun shining across the face. This gives me an idea of how the lighting's going to fall upon the face. Feel free to draw your own little sun and an arrow, because that will give you a visual memory. Just gonna go in there and realise I've used the wrong colour. So again, I'm just building up the colour a little bit now, thinking about where the sun's hitting the face. I'm dabbing very soft and I'm using a Wacom tablet, however you can use any other pressure sensitivity tablet. Again, I'm just picking out some details around the eyebrow, just bringing that around to the cheekbone. This colour is so soft, you do not need to go harsh at this stage. So just keep blending softly. As you can see, adjusting the flow has just made it so much softer. When I discovered the flow rather than the opacity, I just realised it controlled my colouring so much better. Just building up on the nose bridge, trying to think where the light will be hitting that as well. I still want a bit of depth where the nose is as well. The more you experiment with your work and the more you build up and try different techniques, it just helps you so much. Again, I'm just softly dabbing. There's no need to stamp down your colour, just try soft brush strokes. So I'm going to add a new layer on top of this, still underneath the line art. I'm going to call this highlights 2 actually. I want to build up the highlights, it just adds more depth, but I'm putting them on separate layers just so you can see what's going on. I've added a slight saturation into the colour that I've chosen here. This really helps almost the skin have a subsurface effect on it, so it almost looks real. This is so key into improving your work as well, and anybody can do this. So again, just picking out the highlights. Now we've got the guides underneath, it's quite helpful because it's just giving us that guide to build up our colour. So again, just going around the cheekbone, really soft, really soft. You can always drop your flow down a little bit more if you need to. Just picking out these edges. One of the key elements is try to add a bit of contrast where the shadows fall and where the light hits. It really makes your work just pop. Try to think in your head how will the light affect this face. It really improves your work. Just try and think about it. Don't rush. There's no need to rush. You can already see the face is just rendering now. Again, I'm just thinking about how will the light go behind that nose. There will be a shadow, but there will be a slight light on the cheek. These are key elements into improving your work, and anybody can do it. I'm going to start going in with a bit of a darker colour. It's quite harsh that, so I will be making that a little bit more brighter, if that's a word. So you can see though, we've got like a mid-range of tones now, and I'm just adding in the dark colour. I created a new layer as well, and this is still under the lines. I'm adding some slight pink tones. I just want to give her some flesh colours in her skin, rather than it being all one tone. This just really starts to make your work pop. It starts to make the skin look realistic, and this is something that you can do as well. If you find this difficult at first to follow with your own work, don't worry, everybody starts somewhere, and just learning these techniques will really make you pop with your work. See, I'm just highlighting under the nose slightly. Keep thinking of that sun, keep thinking of how it's going to be pushing down onto the face and creating highlights and shadows. Nobody's ever going to be perfect at this. It's self-development, and you will get better the more you do it. The more references and images you look at as well will help you with your visual memory. Just gently brushing again. I'm always trying to keep my brush strokes quick and soft. That is key. Just highlighting under the ear. You could just see how this face is just rendering now. It's got contrast, and it's got a nice set of tones to it. How I found when I first worked with my work, I had issues with my colouring. I wasn't happy with it. I was sad. I was like, why does my work not look good like the pros? And it's one of the most simplest things ever. It's literally because I just didn't tone down my tones a little bit. I didn't have a range of tones. This just gives you an idea of how it looks with all these new elements that we're putting into it. So I'm just dropping the opacity of the layer. Now you can see it's just softer. It's not as harsh, but you've still got the effect there. You don't need to drop it down too much. You still want definition at this stage. So I'm just going to clean up these lines a little bit. I'm keeping the line art as the top layer, but I have merged all the other layers underneath. This is a great base now. We've got all the basics that we need now to actually detail the image. I'm just going to do a quick Gaussian blur. I'm going to drop the opacity of that layer as well. This will just give a softer sheen on the skin. So I did duplicate the base layer skin, then I did a Gaussian blur above it, and then I've just dropped the opacity of that layer. So now we've got like a really soft look. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to really start to work these highlights now. You want to try and add as much contrast as you can as well. Obviously without it ruining your image. So again, just soft. Just picking out details. Really pushing them edges. Edges can be quite important as well. You need a balance between soft shading and sharper edges. So if you think of how shadows fall upon a character, you can have harsher tones under like the ear or the eyes, but then you can have softer tones where the cheeks change in shape and the contour of it. So I'm just going to keep blending. Alt's your best friend. It picks up the colour underneath, so you can just keep blending between two colours. This is a handy trick actually if you don't have a pressure sensitive Wacom or any form of other tablet. It's a great way of blending two colours. So I'm just picking out some more details now. I really want to define certain edges of the face. I want them to pop. This is something you can do in your work as well. I'm just trying to blend out some of the really harsh edges that I don't want. It's almost a soft light on this face. So I'm keeping that as multiply. Again, I'm just bringing more highlights in, starting to really bring some edges into it now. But I'm trying to keep everything soft as well. This is sort of how I cross-hatch. So imagine this but with a giant round brush and just softly cross-hatching over the face. That is a nice way of blending your lines. It helps give a soft sheen on the skin rather than seeing the brush strokes too much. So again, I'm just picking up colour, trying to define this shadow under the chin. It's making it pop, it's bringing out contrast, which is really important. You can already see the difference to the left image now. It's a big improvement. And even this is good enough. I believe that you guys, as artists, can get to this stage quite quickly. Just keep practicing and keep shading. The more you do it, the better you get. Just going to add in some colour on the eyeballs for now. This isn't an eye tutorial right now though, so they're just blocked out. I'm going to add some pigment into the lips as well. I've just added a shadow underneath. So again, I'm just thinking about that light coming down. Try and think of how the lips form. Nothing is flat, it always has a contour to it. So try and picture that in your head. I want to bring a little bit of blue into the image. It seems quite drastic, but I'm only touching quite softly around the eyes. I'm just going to keep blending that out a little bit now. Such a tiny amount of colour then, but it does make a little bit of difference. In real life, nobody's skin is just one colour. There's so many different pigments in the face. There's such a massive difference now, even I can pick that up. Thanks so much for watching this first part of the tutorial. Stay tuned for the second part. It's going to get even better from here, and you're going to learn so much more. Thank you very much, guys.